And as discussion on the double-track system raged, members of the academia are cautioning government about the dire consequences government or the whole implementation could have on tertiary education in the near future. Former Vice-Chancellor of the University of Ghana, Professor Ivan Adai-Mensah, who warned government earlier about the wholesale implementation of the free SHS policy rather than allowing parents who can pay to do so, has described as unfortunate attacks on those who have publicly criticized the double-track policy by members of government, including the president.
Well, at the moment, if you look at it critically, it looks as if it is one of the few options left. Time is short. Come September, schools are beginning. But it has its possible consequences, if I may say so. At the moment, already with the 3 years and the current contact hours that people have, we are complaining at the university level that when they come, they are ill-prepared. And even at the examination level, just about 10 to 12% of those who take the SHS exam are going into the universities. If you stretch it to all the other senior high schools, I don't think it comes to more than 20–25%. So a whole lot of other people also are being left out of tertiary education, all because we don't have other avenues for them to go into. Now, starting this shift system, yes, it's going to open avenues for more people to be absorbed. But is it not going to mean people going in and just cram, go and do the exam without having enough time to sit down and assimilate? People are saying that they will have enough time to assimilate.
Yeah.
No.
So there will be more contact hours.
There will be more contact hours. Contact hours means that you're going to sit in the classroom with them. But contact hours alone is not enough. But if even there is more contact hour, fine. Have we thought about the net effect also 3 years hence on the university? You have 2 streams of high school. 3 years hence, are we going to get 2 streams into the universities? Is there going to be enough facility in the universities to absorb those people? All these are issues that we have to start thinking about.
The effects on tertiary education as well.
Exactly.
But do you get a sense that that has been thought about? Or we're just thinking about getting students into the SHS without thinking about the tertiary?
I think we didn't even think of it when we started the secondary level one a year ago. This thing has come as if it was not foreseen. And we're doing the usual fire service solution approach, you know. But it could have been foreseen, and it was foreseen because it was one of the possibilities that I mentioned when I met the committee. And a few days ago, I talked to one of the members of the committee, and you were talking about Estonia. All he said, oh, Ivan, say
Well, meanwhile, the acting Vice-Chancellor of the University of Education, Winneba, is asking policymakers on education to ground their policy directions on research. According to the Reverend Professor Anthony Afo-Broni, many educational policies in Ghana are rushed through without proper research and consultations with the relevant stakeholders, and as a result, hindering the effectiveness of such educational policies. The Reverend Professor Anthony Afo-Broni was speaking on the 3rd International Multidisciplinary Conference for Postgraduate Students at the University of Education, Winneba.
The University of Education Winneba Vice-Chancellor is amazed by the sudden introduction of educational policies by successive governments without the involvement of universities in the country where researches are done. Reverend Professor Anthony Afo-Broni wants policymakers to base their policies on sound academic research that can guarantee the success of policies introduced by governments. According to him, the implementation of a successful policy in any country is for the major stakeholders to be consulted first before its implementation and not after the implementation of the policy.
Have we as a country had time to even assess and evaluate Another government comes and starts something else. We have a very powerful, the other day I heard one of the most brilliant guys making reference to our first Vice Chancellor as having come up with one of the best policies he had seen about the senior high school, whether it should be 3 years or 4 years. But ask ourselves, did we even have time to study to see the effect of it? And now we're coming up with something. Now there is this, I don't even know the name, I'm supposed to be a professor, right? And people have been asking for my views, and I say I haven't had time to study it. Maybe as the acting Vice Chancellor, I should promise at this point, and I think I am promising that, I will make better efforts to reach out to our policymakers if they will not reach out to us. So that what we do as a nation will be informed by research. So that we are not seen as a people who just wake up in the middle of the night and come up with things that must be implemented tomorrow.
The Commissioner for Science and Technology, Lagos State, Nigeria, Hakeem Pham, emphasized the need for the research community and policymakers to coexist to achieve the Millennium Development Goals on education. Richard Kwejunyako, Joy News, Winneba.
Well, let's veer over into some mainstream politics. And a former finance minister, Professor Botchwey, says the absence of decency, honesty and integrity, which sum up what ethical politics is about, were some of the reasons for the defeat of the National Democratic Congress in the 2016 general elections. In what may perhaps be his first public utterance or comment after leading a committee to investigate the cause of the NDC's humiliating defeat in the 2016 elections, Professor Botchwey said bitterness, integrity, defects in the appointment of party executives and a general absence of ethical politics contributed largely to the party's defeat. He was speaking at a Sith at a Mills commemorative lecture in Cape Coast.
We identified, and the party is aware of, the incidents of divisions, of grievances, of bitterness over what many saw as the manipulation and breakdown of integrity in the selection of executives at various levels of management of the party's affairs, from the branch upwards. The report also noted the influence, careerism, and the waning of ideology and the commitment to principle. The party, the National Executive, have heeded and have been chastened by the findings of the report, and happily are busy working to ensure that these principles are reinstated in our culture as a party. And I'm gratified that this has been done largely very, very successfully. We need to step back from the brink and begin to ethicalize our politics by curbing the state of vengefulness and recrimination in the land. And the surest way of stemming the tide of this raging polarization is to broaden the processes of consultation over critical matters that affect the common good.
And before we go, the Vice Chancellor of the University of Energy and Natural Resources, Professor A.C. Ewahis, is blaming the high incidence of thyroid and hepatitis in the country on poor management of toilets and human waste. The environmental health and sanitation expert says the incidence is as a result of a rise in open defecation and the poor management of toilets. Professor Iwa opines that the situation is even worse in low-income communities.
Currently, what is affecting us very much in the country is typhoid, salmonellosis. And it is said that now even the antibiotics cannot handle it. It's amazing how hepatitis and salmonella is killing us as a nation. And it's all coming from human feces.
To support the government achieve its sanitation goals and to reduce the spate of open defecation in the country, the Regional Water and Environmental Sanitation Center, Kumasi, and the Department of the Civil Engineering, KNUST, is partnering the Great Lakes University of Kisumu, Kenya, on a research study titled Management of Shared Sanitation Facilities in Low-Income Areas in Ghana and Kenya. The study aims at developing strategies for proper management of high-quality shared sanitation facilities in low-income settlements in Ghana and Kenya. Dr. Sheila Simuyu of the Great Lakes University of Kisumu is a principal investigator.
Well, in Kenya, we also have a huge population that is sharing sanitation facilities. And when I say sharing, I mean sharing either at the household level or sharing at the compound level or sharing even at the public arena level. So because of Kenya having a large population of households or people sharing sanitation facilities.
At a workshop in Kumasi, stakeholders in the sanitation and waste management sector discussed strategies to achieve the objectives of the study. Dr. Prince Ncheje is a co-investigator on the study.
Before I even talk about sanitation,
gender, as I said, is the water sector's strategic development plan. And the government of Ghana is saying that by 2025, they should be able to provide sustainable water and sanitation to its population. Sustainable water and sanitation doesn't mean like 100% like coverage, but it means you should have a higher coverage, but it should be sustainable, whether it's water or sanitation facilities. We are targeting sanitation facilities. So for the shared sanitation facilities, if it is not managed well, then it wouldn't become sustainable. So that's another angle of this project. If it is managed well, then it becomes sustainable. We are targeting more of the hygienic quality. So what we are saying is that if we're able to improve the quality of these shared facilities in compound houses and the global body accepts it as part of the categories of improve, then most developing countries will make huge progress.
This collaborative research study will span over 2 years, and it is part of the leading integrated research for Agenda 2030 in Africa program. The program is funded by the International Science Council and the Network of African Science Academies. Reporter for JoyNews, Kwesi Deborah.
Well, that's it for the latest news update. But we told you, after we do review of the newspapers and look at the latest sports headlines or highlights from the from Europe elsewhere, we'll be taking you to the Labadi, the La Palm Beach Hotel. No. Labadi Beach Hotel. Yes, yeah. To the Labadi Beach Hotel. Yeah. I think it's the breakfast that you're missing out. Bro, that's no, you know, I was just thinking of the sausage, you know, the ham and all that. Charlie,
don't dream it. Just end it there.
I think this is a misnomer.
So, Roland, these are my guests.
This is
ahead. My guests ahead of the breakfast meeting. Humphrey Eyim Dake Akwabua, Vice President of the Association of Ghana Industries. I'm sitting down with him alongside Mr. Nuyama Eshen Fame, General Manager, Group Operations at Kena Pharma Limited. Yeah.
So that'll be a great conversation. And you're talking about the manufacturing center, relating it to growth. Yeah. Etc.
We're also, you know, trying to discover how much more they could do if they got a lot more support from government, for instance, but also what are the challenges that they're facing ahead of that bigger conversation later on this morning, Roland.
Yeah, and we all know that conversation is the Graphic Business, Stanbic Business Breakfast Meeting, and it's taking place, of course, this morning. By the next 40 minutes, we should take you live to that venue, the Omanyo Hall, Labadi Beach Hotel, and the senior minister as well as Dr. Tony Oting-Jesse, MD Tropical Cables, Conductor Limited, will be there. He's a former chair of or president of the AGI. Let's remember that as well.
Yeah, and this will be live here on JoyNews. It'll be live on radio as well, live on social media. So forget that you don't have an invitation to the Labadi Beach. You can always catch up with the conversations on TV, radio, and online as well. But Roland, one of the things that I know you'll be doing during the review with Kojayang Singh is the Zimbabwe elections. And we're told that counting is underway. High voter turnouts.
Yes, we're told that especially of young people.
Yeah. But some of the questions that are being asked, what will this vote, this election, do to Zimbabwe? Yeah. So a lot more updates later on during the review here on the AM show.
Oh, so we have to take a break. When we come back, we'll do a review of the newspapers, minus hair, but plus Kojo Yankson.
Yeah, I'm taking a hike. See you later on at the Labadi Beach Hotel.